Happy Monday! In this PM Mindset, we are going to focus on accepting feedback and listening for the story our ego wants to tell us. Critical feedback is something that we all receive. Sometimes we're able to accept it with grace and empathy and we can grow from it. And other times we receive it with frustration and defensiveness and just anger, right? Or blame. So what is the difference? Why sometimes can we grow and other times it just brings us down? Well, there are a number of factors that play into our mindset, of course, each and every day that change, but there is one constant, and that is our ego. So I can remember telling a coworker one time, "Oh, I don't have an ego." And then what preceded that statement was certainly egotistical, even though that was not how I intended it. So I have since really understood that ego is always present. We all have an ego. There's no shame in it. It's always present, and it also shapes the way that we interact with others, the way we view the world. So instead of, being afraid of it or acting reactive to it, we just need to be mindful about it, right? So I challenge you this week, and myself, to really get acquainted with your ego. I want you to watch for it, observe it, heck, name it. I actually did name mine. I like to call mine Franny. That's a whole nother session. I won't get into it right now. But another way of looking at the ego is to consider the story you are telling yourself. Pay attention to that inner dialogue that's happening at any given moment. So when you're sitting across from someone and they say, "Hey, I don't like that design you just delivered," or whatever, it needs work. What did your ego hear? Did it tell you a story about how you and your team aren't good enough? Did it start blaming someone else for the lack of, success with this design or whatever it is you're delivering? What about instead of just acknowledging that that's your ego talking, calling it out? So in my case, I would say, "Hey, I hear you, Franny. I hear that you're trying to keep me safe from this negative input that I'm getting. But please sit down because I need to get some accurate information so I can take action from here," which is exactly the point. We want to take action from facts, not fiction. And when we're telling our ego story in our head, that's fiction. And it allows, or prevents us, I should say, from hearing the facts sometimes because it can be so loud. So instead, hear it, call it out, tell it to sit down, and then start to listen. Open your ears for hearing the facts. The client will not benefit from your ego story. Your team's not going to benefit from the ego story. You do not benefit from your ego story, so you have to let it pass. No shame, no judgment, just release it. And it is from that place that you can then dig in to get the information you need to deliver for your team, for your client, and for yourself, which of course your ego is going to love. So that's your challenge this week. Watch for, observe, heck, name it. I would love to hear what you name your ego. But naming it does help you to own it and just pay closer attention to it. So that's what I want you to do this week. Just observe those stories your ego is telling you. Instead, take action from fact, not fiction. Have a great week. We'll see you here next week.